honestly one of my favorite tag team finishes ever.
Oh, yeah. I would probably say the same as well. And it's also... sorry, you go first, actually.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to say in general, the Eliminators were such a talented tag team and, like, really good. And, you know, they could put on some really good matches, which, as you know, ECW tag team wrestling was not necessarily the best.
Yeah, not always.
Not always, but the Eliminators are a really good team. You know, they had some great moves. I forget, there was one spot where he did like a moonsault off the ropes or something.
Oh yeah, there was the assisted moonsault from that Saturn did with the assist from Cronus, and then Cronus would do the space fly drop over the top on the Dudleys on the outside. Those are some good spots there.
Yeah. Overall, like you said, some cool spots in it. It was mainly an ass kicking, but in terms of being a good match, I actually wouldn't say it was a good match. It was more just go out there, whoop the Dudley's ass, and get the crowd into it.
Yeah, because when we get down into the star ratings here, in terms of what we gave it, honestly, it may have not even been necessarily like even that good of a rating particularly. It's just, I think, if you consider everything and what they were going for, just so, you know, to kick things off, you know, just like to have the Eliminators come out on top, you know, just like showcase them and just have them put the beating on the top heel tag team, you know, just to get the crowd going. In terms of that, I think that's what helped put the rating up. Not that it was like a super high rating to begin with, but I mean, like we both went with 2s, but I think that just if you think of what they were going for, that ultimately is like what helped me raise it up there. Outside, if it wasn't like if you take that out of context, you just go by a match, it was probably a little lower.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after that, following the match, Joe Gertner would grab the microphone and say that the Dudleys had won by the Stud Muffin scoring system. But then the Eliminators rather, they'd take them out with total elimination as well.
Yeah, and then they would, they'd walk out with the tag belts.
Yeah, new champions.
Crowds into everything. Overall, I said the match did its job. You know, it was a good open to the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. And I think one last thing I wanted to say was, of course, the Dudley boys. I think what's funny here is like you see them, you know, they got like see them back in the day, they got like the suspenders on or like the tie dye and whatnot. And you look at them and you don't really see they don't really necessarily look like stars. But then they go on the WWE and WWF and they have like a great run. And yeah. I'm actually surprised that Vince actually took a chance on them and even brought them in there.
So am I.
They did not have that look that he typically likes his guys, you would think to have.
They kind of, like you said, if the Dudley Boys never happened and 2 guys came out just like that today, we'd immediately think they were jobbers.
I know. And as it turned out, they could quite possibly be the greatest tag team there ever was.
Yeah, probably are.
You know, I mean, 23-time tag team champions.
They've done it everywhere, pretty much. Uh-huh. But anyway, we'll move on to the next match.
Yeah.
Was there a promo or anything in between?
There was actually a video package which featured the Sandman. It wasn't very long,
Sandman,
but
yeah.
He was one of the 3 participants in the 3-way dance that was going to take place later in the night.
And the winner of that match would go on to face Raven for the ECW title in the main event.
So following that, we'd have Chris Candido in the ring, who was originally scheduled to face Lance Storm, but was unable to compete due to a partially torn bicep injury. He cut a promo on several different guys in the card, and he'd vowed to make an impact despite not being able to wrestle.
Yep, saying he basically said he's going to show up later in the night and have an effect on the match.
Uh-huh. So the next we'd have a singles match. It would be Lance Storm versus Rob Van Dam.
Again, I actually had a good amount of expectation going into this because obviously 2 very good wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
They were both super young at this point, right? Rob Van Dam was 26 and Lance Storm was 28.
Yeah, that's correct. And Joey Styles would note that they were both 7-year pros in the business at this time.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing for me in this match was seeing Lance Storm come out, and I don't know what the hell was with that haircut, but he had like the buzz cut he typically has.
Yes.
But then he had like a little like blonde ponytail in the back, and it looked terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that one.
But that didn't look good. You know, we'll get into the match now. A lot of typical RVD stuff in the match, you know, you usually see. I've seen it 1,000 times, but I never get sick of it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
All of it. I'd say this was a good match. The thing that was interesting was it's weird to see Rob Van Dam not use the frog splash as a finisher.
I know, because he did hit it. But it wasn't like
Yeah.
It wasn't even called the 5-star yet.
No, and I think he used the Van Daminator, right?
That's what he used to win. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and followed up by the standing moonsault.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, good match for me. It was like I said, it was a typical match you'd expect from two really solid wrestlers.
Yeah, no, I definitely liked it. I know some people, it was a bit of a spot fest or whatever. And I mean, they're in the course.
Yeah, but it's ECW.
No, it is, but I mean, like, I see that didn't bother me though, because it's like to me there was like some fun moments in there, and I don't know, didn't have a lot of psychology, maybe necessarily, maybe that's the only thing, but for what it was, I liked it. So
Yeah, I liked it too.
Although there is one thing I got to point out that wasn't the greatest.
What?
Some of those chair shots from Lance Storm.
Oh yeah, they were.
Those are some of the weakest chair shots I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I know. I've seen tougher chair shots, like in a WWE house show than I've seen.
And the crowd would even boo them too. So
yeah,
think about that: crowd booing unprotected chair shots to the head. Yeah, well, that's kind of outlawed from the business now. But I think maybe part of the reason why and this wasn't the only match where that actually happened. Like there were some other matches where the chair shots weren't exactly as maybe hard as they usually would be.
We'll get into that when we get to the matches, though.
So I'm thinking maybe that was just because I don't know if that's something to do with like the deal that they had or whatever with the carriers where they didn't want them to go too crazy or whatever. But I don't know if it's going to be like that. If that's what the case was, I would have just gone without it.
Yeah.
Because there's other things you could do with the chair than like hit somebody over the head with it, as you see nowadays.
Rob Van Dam did a ton of stuff. He threw it at Lance Storm's head. He used the Van Daminator. I mean, Rob Van Dam did a ton of stuff with the chair.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then he did that. He did like that drop kick he does, like when the guy's like, down in the bottom corner. Where
that looks brutal.
I know.
I love Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam is so good.
No, he's one of my favorites, and it's also he also looks super young at this point.
Well, he was 26. It's weird because we're relatively young. We remember Rob Van Dam for his like WWE days where he didn't look as young, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't look bad, but
no, he didn't. But he didn't look that young. He looked like a baby in this.
I know. Yeah, even all things considered, now he looks like decent compared to like how other people like have come from like past times, but so yeah, it's also crazy to think that you see him here at 26, 7 years in the business, and he's still going.
He's still kicking over at Impact.
Yeah, he is. So I went with 3 stars.
Kicked off Twitch.
Yeah, I guess they're back on there now, so that's good.
I know that I was.
But
that was
that's true though.
So what did we give this match for stars?
I went with 3. You went with 3.5, actually.
Yeah, I really like this match.
No, I liked it too. And then following that, we had a RVD promo where he didn't.
He basically said Lance Storm went to shake his hand. Rob Van Dam said, I didn't come out here for your respect. I don't care about Paulie's respect. I don't care about the fans' respect. All he cares about himself and all that. Basically a typical heel promo.
And I guess he was he'd point out that he wasn't originally booked for the show, and he was only in there because Candido got injured, because Candido and Lance Storm was the original match, which I wanted to point out also, so I'm glad I remember that. And honestly, it was actually a really good RVD promo, and RVD at this point was actually a really good heel back in the day, which I think a lot of people forget about, because now, like nowadays, he's gone back to those, I guess, roots with what he's doing in Impact now. He's kind of working as a heel again, which a lot of people really have just forgotten about that, because really, like, I guess eventually he was just so over, and all of WWE, he was basically a face. So I think people really forget about that. Or either forget about it or honestly don't even know about it.
Yeah.
Unless they're an ECW guy.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Everybody remembers him as being the super over high flyer in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah, and he didn't really have the best promos in WWE, so.
No. But we'll get into the next part of the show.
So next we'd have a 6-man tag team match, which actually thought this was pretty good.
It was good. I thought it went a wee bit long, but not that long. It was 3. I mean, I didn't really know anyone in the match because, again, I'm not a huge ECW guy because I wasn't around. I frankly wasn't even born for majority of ECW's time being on the air. So I didn't really know anyone in this match. It was a good match, though. Everyone seemed to do a good job. I don't really have anything spectacular from it, but I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, so these 6 guys are from Michinoku Pro over in Japan, and they were brought in for this pay-per-view because ECW had done some work, some work, had some working agreements, with some promotions in Japan, so you'd have some crossovers and whatnot. The one guy I was familiar with, though, was Taka Michinoku because he was in WWE or F at the time, and he was light heavyweight champion. So I was familiar with him. The other guys, not as much, but they even got the streamers from the crowd.
Yeah.
When they entered, so I guess they had I guess the Michinoku's team, I guess they were part of the BWO. They had the music, the T-shirts, and everything.
Yeah. Hey, the BWO is probably the greatest faction in wrestling history, so they were international.
Oh. Yes. So, I thought this was a pretty good 6-man tag team match. I've said before, I love 6-man tag team matches. Like, if they were on every show, I wouldn't complain. Like, I love 6-man tag team matches. I don't know why, I just do. But I think the only thing I would have changed is throughout this, it's like the crowd, like they gave them like a nice welcome or whatever, and they had the streamers in the beginning. But I think after a while, they weren't really into it as much. But I think part of that is I think it went on a bit too long. I think that was part of it.
It was still good though.
No, it was. I really liked it. I went with 3.5 on that.
Yeah, where did I go?
You went with let's see.
I think I went 3.
Oh yeah, you went 3 on that one.
Yep, I liked it, not as much as you, but overall it was a good match.
I mean, honestly, since I wasn't as familiar with either team, which I knew Taka, but since with considering I wasn't as familiar with those guys, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was definitely above expectations because I wasn't familiar with them. So when you got like a group of guys you don't really know anything about, and they do what they did here, I can't complain at all. So, and once again, it's not their fault that I wasn't familiar with them. It's just I'm a student of the game as well. So we love going back and doing these throwback shows and whatnot. And I mean, a lot of it we are familiar with, and there's stuff that we learn as we go. So it's a learning experience as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's
sure.
I think it's just great all around. So the next we'd have it's like a video package / promo for Stevie Richards.
Yep, Stevie.
Or Big Stevie Cool.
Yeah, Big Stevie Cool. Yeah, like I said, I actually thought the problem with this one was I couldn't really hear it.
Yeah, see, it could have done without the music in the background.
That's the only thing I'll say about ECW is their production was not great.
No, and especially at this time, because they're also in the very beginning stages, like over time, like towards like 2000 and whatnot, it had gotten better.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially at this time, and also being in the ECW arena, like that small area and whatnot, not the greatest building in terms of production standpoint. Really hard to have great production in like a smaller venue like that.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, so basically he's the leader of the BWO, and he's basically saying that tonight's not about that. It's about him becoming a man, and that he's going to leave the ring tonight with respect. Mm-hmm. So the next... sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, and then we get to, I believe, Shane Douglas and Pitbull, too?
Yes, next would be for the ECW World Television Championship. It would be Shane Douglas defending the title against Pitbull number 2, and Francine would be in his corner as well.
Along with his entourage, whoever they were, the masked guys.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right as well.
Which would be important.
Oh yeah, because that does play factor. Maybe not so much in the match, but afterwards.
Yeah. So here's my thing with this match. This match went about 10 minutes too long.
Oh, hands down.
This was brutal. Like it got to a point. I mean, where you're begging to end. Like it was. It was bad. My only issue with this type of thing, and the ECW kind of did this, Shane Douglas got brass knucks, and he punched Pitbull twice with brass knucks, and the match didn't even end.
Yeah, so that was...
It's like...
Yeah, so it's like...
Really?
I get ECW, it's a different style. Like, it's like, it's just a different style. and it's like the extreme style, the hardcore style.